ṣẹ̀dá tó mọ̀la. Ó jẹ́ ṣe jẹ́jẹ́ ọ̀rẹ́ mi o, ayé gbẹ̀gẹ́. Inú ẹni ṣálámọ̀, a ò mẹ́ni tó fẹ́ ni. Ká ṣe bí ẹni kú, káwọ́ ẹni tí ó ṣe dàrú ẹni. Ṣàṣà ènìyàn nífẹ̀ẹ́ ní lẹ́yìn, tẹrú tọmọ nífẹ̀ẹ́ ní lójú ẹni. Ọmọ aráyé abániwọ́rọ̀ pa orí dání wọ́n. Ayé ò fẹ́ ní ìfọ̀rọ̀, orí ẹni ní pé kó yẹ ni. You gotta be strong cause the world is a battlefield. Òjò láyé ó gbé ní lọ, bá ò bá mọ̀ wẹ̀. Má ṣe lọ́lọ́ tó láì bá dé, tread softly dákun ṣe jẹ́jẹ́. Ilé ayé ogun ni ó gbọ̀gbọ́n. Ẹ̀sọ̀ pẹ̀lẹ́ láyé gbà rẹ̀, ẹ jẹ́ ká má ṣe jẹ́jẹ́. Tíbi tí ẹ lábẹ́lẹ̀ ayé, kò má ṣẹ̀dá tó mọ̀la. Ó jẹ́ ṣe jẹ́jẹ́ ọ̀rẹ́ mi o, ayé gbẹ̀gẹ́. Inú ẹni ṣálámọ̀, a ò mẹ́ni tó fẹ́ ni. Ṣẹ̀rántí a ò mẹ́rin ìjọba ẹ̀wẹ̀kú ẹ̀wẹ̀lẹ̀. Àwọn ọlọ́tẹ̀ ni wọ́n dìde wọn lájànà kó lè rí inú gbọ́gbé. Àṣenìtàn bá ní ìdàrú ṣálọ̀ máa ráyé. Àwọ̀ fẹ́lẹ́ bòónù kò jẹ́ àríkùn wá ṣe bí. You gotta be wise to survive and keep your sanity. Ọjà ọ̀dájú ní ilé ayé, o ní láti mọ̀ ọ́n rà. Àyàgbé ọ̀gẹ̀gẹ̀ tó bá ti lówó, ọ̀yàn ń lọ wà lọ́jọ́ ogún dé. Ọwọ́ epo láyé ńlá, wọ́n kì í lá jẹ̀jẹ̀. Alámọ̀ a ò mọ̀nú, ẹ̀yìn ayé yẹ kó rọra ṣe. Ṣọ́ra, ṣọ́ra. Pọ́sọ̀ fura, pọ́sọ̀ fi jọ́ sí iná. Ẹ̀sọ̀ pẹ̀lẹ́ láyé gbà rẹ̀, ẹ jẹ́ ká má ṣe jẹ́jẹ́ o. Tíbi tí ẹ lábẹ́lẹ̀ ayé, kò má ṣẹ̀dá tó mọ̀la. Ó jẹ́ ṣe jẹ́jẹ́ ọ̀rẹ́ mi o, ayé gbẹ̀gẹ́ o. Inú ẹni ṣálámọ̀, a ò mẹ́ni tó fẹ́ ni. Ẹ̀sọ̀ pẹ̀lẹ́ láyé gbà rẹ̀, ẹ jẹ́ ká má ṣe jẹ́jẹ́. Tíbi tí ẹ lábẹ́lẹ̀ ayé, kò má ṣẹ̀dá tó mọ̀la. Ilẹ̀kùn bá jẹ́ ṣe jẹ́jẹ́ ọ̀rẹ́ mi o, ayé gbẹ̀gẹ́. Inú ẹni ṣálámọ̀, a ò mẹ́ni tó fẹ́ ni. Ẹ̀sọ̀ pẹ̀lẹ́ láyé gbà rẹ̀, ẹ jẹ́ ká má ṣe jẹ́jẹ́. Ọ̀rẹ́ mi ṣòwò tí a lábẹ́lẹ̀ ayé, àgbàdo ti ti tó mọ̀la. Yòókù lọ́gbọ́n, ó jẹ́ ṣe jẹ́jẹ́ ọ̀rẹ́ mi o, ayé gbẹ̀gẹ́. Inú ẹni ṣálámọ̀, a ò mẹ́ni tó fẹ́ ni. Ẹ̀sọ̀ pẹ̀lẹ́ láyé gbà rẹ̀, ẹ jẹ́ ká má ṣe jẹ́jẹ́. Ikú pàlà mi ti ọ̀rọ̀ ní ọ̀lọ́lọ́gbà ògiri. Àmọ̀sẹ̀dá tó wọ́n ti fi gbogbo bàjọ́ra ìmọ́lẹ̀. Ó jẹ́ ṣe jẹ́jẹ́ ọ̀rẹ́ mi o, ayé gbẹ̀gẹ́. Inú ẹni ṣálámọ̀, a ò
Yes, so good evening, my people. It's a pleasure to welcome you to another special edition of the Jagbajantis Show. I remain your regular host, Akin. Thank you very much for joining me this evening. Thank you for connecting from whatever part of the world you're joining from. It's going to be another interesting discussion tonight. It's going to be another enlightening session. And so I want you to please go ahead and invite as many people as possible to connect. What we want to discuss tonight involves everyone. We are going to try and enlighten ourselves. We're going to try and correct some misconceptions about, um, the topic of today, and we're going to also give us something to pass on to our children. It's a session that would help us to know how to better protect our daughters and also better educate our sons. It's going to help us to know, you know, what right everyone has. It's going to help us to know what to do, how to behave um, properly in certain, situations that we find ourselves. So please send out the links, invite somebody to join, use your platform, use your story, use, whatever means you have to reach out to as many people as possible. Like I always say, you never know whose life you will be saving. Thank you as you do that. Right, I greet my people on YouTube, um, the usual people on that platform. I don't know if they are there tonight. So if you are there, please just say hi. Yawolo or Shibi Shoops. Those are the, regulars who hang out in that area. So if you are there, just let me know. Let me know you're connected. Also, I greet my people on Twitter and my Rough Riders on Facebook. I greet you as well. The invisible listeners, silent listeners, and those that will be catching up with the show sometime later. I greet you as well. You're all very important and dear to me. Thank you for always turning up to listen to the nonsense that I have to share. Right. Let's invite our first caller to the VIP corner, and the person that is going to be spoiled tonight is no other person than Ebonlua Palui. She knows how we do it. She's used to the treatment. She's a regular in that corner, so she will release herself into the hands of those that will pamper her. Thank you very much for turning up tonight, and congratulations on your latest achievement. I really, really salute you. I respect your, effort, your desire, your doggedness, and uh, well done. That's all I can say. Well done, well done, and congratulations. My fluffy sister, I greet you as well. Esther Diola, it's a pleasure to have you on the show tonight. Thank you for connecting. Ẹ̀gbọ́n, mo kí yín o, ẹ káalẹ́ o, ṣé wà dáadáa, ẹ kúrin o. Good to have you on the show as well. Engineer Elijah, I greet you, my brother. It's a pleasure to have you on the show. I haven't seen you for 2 weeks now, but great to have you back on the show. For those who are listening in the background, and I can't really call you out because I don't know you're online, I greet you as well. If you want me to give you a special shout out, then just indicate your presence on the show, and I will do you the honor of welcoming you specially. In the absence of, let's get straight into the discussion we have for tonight. Right. The topic for tonight is what I titled Sexual Harassment, Consensual Sex, and Sexual Assault. These three things mean different things. They have different implications, and the only similarity they share is that it involves other people, and most especially other people's bodies. Right. Let me begin by saying that our bodies are sacred, and everyone, male and female, have the right, have the final say, have control over their bodies. That is a statement of fact. And it is from that perspective, it is from that understanding, it is from that foundation that I want to build the discussion for tonight. We come from a culture that permits all kind of recklessness. I grew up in a community where I see so many disgusting things while growing up. You see sexual harassment in broad daylight. So in that sort of environment, in that sort of culture, what we're discussing tonight might mean nothing to those who are hearing it, because it's become a way of life. Even though it's wrong, but it's become something that we've accepted to be, yeah, that's how they live, that's what they do, that's how they do. Rather than, bring this absurdity to the forefront and discuss it and discourage it, and meet our punishment for those who are caught engaging in it, we just look the other way, we move on. Sometimes we blame the victim. So, for example, in those typical Lagos market, women, ladies, girls are often harassed publicly by these hopeless guys who sells in the market. So a lady is going, they'll be groping her, they'll be pulling her, they slap her bum, they do all kind of things, saying, come and buy. At the sell market, see this one, and things like that. That's not how to advertise your wares, that's not how to advertise your goods, that's not how to solicit for customers. That is harassment. Touching somebody without their permission in a, sexual manner, touching sensitive part of their body and all that, constitute harassment. When ladies don't, answer them, then they call her Ashao, Sianyash, her breast don't fall finish. This also constitute as harassment. Statement like this are are tagged as sexual harassment. Recently, I was on train here, and all those notices, signs that they put inside the train, information they put inside the train. It caught my attention. So looking at somebody such that you don't take their eyes off them, looking at them to the extent where they become uncomfortable, now is sexual harassment. And they put a number there that such people can call and make a report. So when you see somebody, tó kó gbogbo ẹ̀dọ̀ fún, tó kó ọmú yẹn láì ní conscience, tí gbogbo ẹ̀ ń ranjú bọ̀ báyìí, tí wọ́n wá wò ó tó tẹjúmọ́ tó sọra dé ẹja tẹjúmọ́ àlejò, tó ń wò báyìí pé ọmú rèé, from there ó ti bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ro oríṣiríṣi lórí ẹ̀, ó gbójú kúrò ń bẹ̀, and the person start feeling like kí ló ń happen? You can call that number and report you for sexually harassing them. I don't know how. Yeah, visually. Look and come out eye. Or don't look at all if possible. Back home, in the culture that permits all this, even after, saying those nasty things to those ladies, groping them, touching them, without their consent and all that. Even some go to the extent of, trying to even physically harm them and strip them. The community that should condemn such act then try to blame the victim by saying, why is she also dressed that way? Is the way she dressed that made them, to treat her that way? Dressing has nothing to do with this. People can wear what they choose to wear. You can't control that. What you can control is yourself. You have control over yourself. You don't have control over what other people do. So they've dressed like that. They dress in a seductive way, well, such that, you're seeing they covered only their nipples. You're seeing their butt cracks. I mean, you're seeing all the contours and, thing that should, ordinarily be hidden. And then you think this is an excuse for you to now sexually, harass them in terms of things you say verbally, physically touching them, or visually, stripping them. Yes, you can do it. So when you engage in any of this act, it's termed sexual harassment. So essentially, sexual harassment is any unwelcome sexual advances towards another person, either verbal, physical, or visual, of a sexual nature. It's sexual harassment. Still talking about the culture where we come from. A lot of things goes on in the workplace that are wrong. So where superiors make their subordinates to um, do certain things or bow to their sexual demands because they know they have, control over them. They know they are their superior. Such attitude is wrong. Níbi iṣẹ́ mi, tó bá ti ń kọjá bá ọ̀gá máa fọwọ́ jẹ́ lára, ìwọ ọmọ ẹ̀ ṣá, èmi ni mo ṣá, màá padà fẹ́, wàá padà fẹ́ mi. Words like that make the other person feel uncomfortable. That's sexual harassment. Ìwọ ọmọ ẹ̀ ṣá, ó ṣáà lóò ní ṣe tèmi, máa wò lọ́fíìsì yìí, ọba èmi lọ̀gá ẹ̀ ní báwo lọ̀gá mi ni. Statements like that are termed sexual harassment because you're making the person feel uncomfortable. A máa pè wọ́n lẹ́ẹ̀mẹ́wàá kó máa gbé fáìlì wá, bá ti ń gbé fáìlì kan padà wọ́n tún máa gbé kan padà wá because each time they come you feast on their bodies. Kan tó bá ṣáà ti wá tó bend tó gbé nǹkan lẹ̀ fún ẹ ó ti wo cleavage ẹ̀, tó bá tún ti ń padà lọ ó ti rí bí dín yẹn ṣe ń kọ bó ṣe ń yí tó ń yí tí gbogbo ẹ̀ ń gbára wọn tó ń gbọ̀n. And they can see the way you look at them. Sexually, the way you feast on them. So yàtọ̀ sí wíwò, there are ways you look and they feel very, very uncomfortable. So things like this are termed sexual harassment. And I think previously, I'm not a lawyer, but from what I know, it used to be a civil matter, but now I think it's been upgraded to be a criminal offense. And if this fact can be substantiated and reported to the police, you can be arrested and charged for a crime. So anyone can be sexually harassed. Women sexually harass men, but we also come from a society, a culture that feels men enjoy these things. So a man that comes out to say I've been sexually harassed by woman, they laugh at such a man and say, "I saw Daniel. I was kilo ń ṣe bọ̀bọ̀ yìí. Àwọn ẹ̀ jí fún ẹ ní ọ̀ṣẹ̀ kìíní kan fún ẹ. Ó gbá ẹ lóko mu. Àkímọ́lẹ̀ wàá sáré fún dọ́gì." No, I didn't ask to be touched. She touched me. That's not something to be condoned. That's not something to take as a thing of pride. But we come from that culture, that society that does not even permit men to come out and say they've been raped. They'll be laughed at. They will say, rape, rape. No. Men also have control over their bodies. Men also should not be touched inappropriately. It is their right. And as a people, as a community, we must do better. We must encourage that the rights of men are also protected. Because the moment some of you, saw this topic, I'm sure many of you would immediately think, yes, it's men versus women. And so, everything we'll be discussing has to do with, what the men do to the women. But that's what is being reported. The one that's being done to the men, we don't you don't see men come forward to say it, because the society don't feel men have right to say they've been sexually harassed. They think it's men that want these things. They think women's body are more sacred than that of the man. But this is wrong. So that is one of the misconceptions that we have to correct. Everyone's body is sacred, and everyone's body needs to be respected. Back home where we come from, on public transport, we see all sorts of things that goes on. We see how, you sit beside somebody and you are stylishly using your hands to rub them, using your knee to touch them, and all kind of things like that. All those things are wrong. But even some people on the bus, passengers on the bus, we see things like that going on. They just look away. Here, you don't get away with things like that. And that's why when folks who have lived this sort of perverse lifestyle back home come to an environment like this, they end up in prison in the first 3 months of their arrival. So just, I think 2 weeks ago, two separate incidences made the news, one in Canada, one in the UK. And these are newly arrived immigrants from Nigeria. The Japa set. I think the guy from the UK arrived in January, I'm not sure, either January or September. No, January, I think. And I can't remember when the one in Canada arrived. But both of them were charged for rape and jailed. So the one in the UK, the proof that he's been stalking this person, and until he cornered her in a dark place or an isolated place, and assaulted her. Maybe he went to her home as well and stuff like that. That seemed like a pretty case of rape. But the one in Canada argued that it was consensual. That both of them agreed to do it, such that after having sex with the lady in the toilet of the club, he went back to the lounge and even boasted to his friends that he just finished dealing with that girl, and they laughed about it and all that, such that even one of his friends came to the toilet to even see the lady. All this was said in the court when the judge was pronouncing his judgment. So that seemed like a case of uh, ignorance, stupidity, arrogance, all put in one. What you get away with back home, you won't get away with here. You will not get away with here. And that's why this discussion is important, for us to know what is expected of us. I see a lot of things almost every weekend. I see how guys from, our community, I see how they behave towards these ladies, and they really don't know what they're playing with. You see how many footballers, influential people have gone down because this is a very sensitive case. And looking at it, the odds are already stacked against you anyway. Why? Because one, you are a male. Secondly, you are black. So the odds are against you anyway. And the first thing they try to establish in a case like this is to say, did anything happen between both of you? Once that answer is yes, my guy, you are finished. Because then it becomes your word against hers. She agreed, no, I didn't agree. She agreed, no, I didn't agree. But the odds are stacked against you. And then they can establish that, yes, something happened between both of you. You're gone. And your life is destroyed because your name will be on the sex offenders register. And once your name is on that, my guy, you are finished. You are finished. Can't get a job. You can't live normal life anymore. Even if you have your own children, they can't stay with you. It's one of the worst things that can happen to anybody in life. And it's one of the worst things you can do to yourself. All because of what? How many minutes pleasure? And you see the pain you put yourself through totally outweighing the pleasure. This tells you that it's not worth it. I met a guy sometime, I think it would be maybe earlier this year or late last year. He just arrived. I was even on the phone while I was chatting with him. So I was on the phone with my madam. So I didn't end the call. So she was hearing everything we were saying. The guy was saying, what club can I recommend to him? Blah, blah, blah. Says he's been here for like 3 months or so. He hasn't had sex. Oh no, he needs to do this, is this, is that. It's just been school work and all that. Blah, 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 blah. And I told him, unfortunately, you're asking the wrong person. I don't do all this clubbing. I don't do all these socials and stuff like that. So I don't know where to recommend for you. But you have phone on your hand. You can just Google just random places, read the reviews, and take yourself there. But while I'm not able to help you in terms of, where you should go, I can give you a piece of advice. My brother, be careful. Focus on what you are here for. I'm not saying don't socialize, but don't think that you've seen free pussy and you can just chop and quench or chop and go, sorry. No, you chop and quench. Don't think with your dick. Think with your head. Ensure that, you don't take advantage of any of these people. Ensure that there's clarity in what both of you want. And if, you're not sure of anything, just walk away. I said so many things to him, whether I followed my advice or not, but I passed the message that I thought I should pass to him. Now, so the first part we've just discussed now, is that unwanted, unsolicited, verbal, visual, physical, sexual advances to somebody else is what is termed sexual harassment. Now, let's move to the second part, which is consensual sex. Now, when you hear this, immediately you think, yeah, this one is fine. This one is fine. At least, what you agree. Because by definition, it means people involved. Only méjì, only mẹ́ta, because threesome wà. But people involved actively agreeing to, to be sexual with someone else. So consensual sex now says, yes, you're letting the other person know that you want to have sex with them. But that's not all to it, because that is where people get into problem. Giving your consent means you're agreeing to participate in sexual activity with the person, which means this is needed before you touch somebody, before you get down with them. You need to know if they want to be sexual with you. What most men do is they assume or they lead the other person on and hope that, yes, they will get it, they will understand. Somebody near me, yeah, go to year now. It is important that you actively seek their consent, whether male or female, and to be honest with them with what you want and know what they don't want. So essentially, you are respecting their body, you are respecting their space, and you want them to willingly allow you to have access to it. There's clarity, there's understanding on the part of both of you. So you don't just hug somebody and from there, oti budie. Hug ni ó fún ẹ. Kò ní kó touch ìdí òun. So kàn ní sùn tira yín, and the next thing, ó ti ń finger. Ẹ jọ lie down ni. Kò tíì fún ẹ láyè pé kó tọwọ́ ba bẹ́ẹ̀ o. So consensual sex, when looked into deeply, suggests that, there are layers to this sexual thing. And at every layer, there must be consent. There must be permission. There must be clarity in extent you can go, what you can do and what you cannot do, what they want and what they don't want. Because where this is not clear, that's when people get into problem. So there are elements within this consensual sex that you must fulfill before you can say, yes, I actually have the consent of this person for us to do this. Otherwise, by consent. And number one is this person must freely, willingly give you permission to touch their body, to have access to their body, or to go to the, any extent that you want to go with them. Getting consent from sexual consent from a person must not be out of coercion, must not be out of manipulation, must not be done while the person is under the influence of drugs or alcohol. Any consent they give you within this, limits that I mentioned are not consent. Pressure, títí. Bó ṣe ń fọmọ ìtàkùtò lòun ṣe gbá lòun rìn lòun ṣe everything títí tó ṣáà fi weak tó fi gorí ẹ̀. No, kò fi ara ẹ̀ sọ wípé òun fẹ́ ṣe, ó manipulate ẹ̀ débẹ̀ ni. Àbí nítorí pé o jọ́gà ẹ̀, you're threatening her with her work. You're threatening her with, the report you will write until tó fi succumb tó jẹ́ kó ń pè wò ṣáà ṣe nǹkan tó fẹ́ ṣe kí iṣẹ́ má bọ́ lọ́wọ́ mi. Or you spike their drink tán fi mọ nǹkan tí wọ́n ń ṣe. Or àwọn fúnra wọn ni wọ́n yó tán fi wà ní level mi. And one thing you should know is this. Decisions that people make while under the influence of alcohol or drugs are not valid. They are taken as, decision makes when you are not in the right state of mind. And that's why anyone caught driving, in that state of mind are charged for criminal offense because they are not mentally okay to handle such situation. They could kill people. You can't come to work high, especially if you're working in environment where you have to operate machines. They test them. You're a trained driver. They test them. You work in certain, profession. They test you every day for drugs and stuff like that because you have to make decisions with sound and clear mind. So the same it is for, gaining consent, sexual consent, before getting down with somebody. They must not be under the influence of alcohol or drugs. And one thing I know nílùú ni wípé ìgbà tí àwọn ọmọ yẹn bá mutí ni wọ́n máa ń wà extremely horny jù. Oh my God. Mo ti rí oríṣiríṣi. And if you now think, ọmọ ó ti làálẹ̀ ṣá. My brother, ẹ̀wọ̀n ló làálẹ̀ fún ẹ yẹn. Ẹ̀wọ̀n ló làálẹ̀ fún ẹ yẹn. Because state of mind tó yẹ kó wà kọ́ ló wà yẹn, tó fi ń lọ́mọ ẹ, tó fi ń mú ọwọ́ ara ẹ̀ tó ń mú lọ síbi ọyàn ẹ̀ tó ń ṣe oríṣiríṣi nǹkan fún ẹ yẹn. What you should do is wípé just let them know that no, stop, you're drunk. Stop, you're drunk. You don't know what you're doing. Keep saying that statement to them and you find a way to get yourself out of that situation. Àjẹbẹ́ tí a bàjẹ́. So that's element number 1. The consent must be given without pressure, manipulation, or under the influence of alcohol or drugs or anything. For consensual sex to be valid, you must also understand that ẹni tó ládégún tún lè ládé ògún o. This consent that this person gave you initially at the start, they have the right to withdraw it at any time in the process. So for example, see, ó ti ní kẹ́ get down, ẹ ti wá bẹ̀rẹ̀, ẹ ti ń smoosh, ó ti gbọ́mú jáde fún, ó ti ń la, ó ti ń fà, wá dé stage tó ti bọ́ ṣòkòtò, tó fẹ́ wọlé wá sọ fún ẹ pé stop. My brother, stop o. Stop is stop. Because at that moment, bí o mú nǹkan kan gan tó yẹ kó wà in clear mind, she's had a change of mind and she does not want to, proceed further. Don't go and say, irọ́, àmọ́ ti gbé mi dé level yìí, mi lè padà, ìkà ló ṣe fún mi, irọ́, kó wá pin ẹ̀ down, kó wá fagídí wọlé. That is rape. Tó bá ti gbọ́ stop is stop. Because anyone can change their mind at any time. They can decide that what they feel to do, a few moments ago, they don't feel comfortable doing it anymore and they don't want to proceed with it. Mo tẹ̀jọ́ wọn tó ti fọ́ lẹ́nu tẹ́lẹ̀ rí ni, tó wá padà wá, tẹ́tọ́ ti wá bẹ̀rẹ̀, tó wá dáàrin kan tó wá sọ pé no, stop. My brother, stop. Táìpò tí ẹ ti wọlé gan tó ti gbá stroke kan, stroke kejì ló fẹ́ gbá tó díẹ̀ tó sọ pé no, stop. My brother, má ju stroke yẹn o. Kó má bàa ní stroke in real life. Kí destiny ẹ má bàa ní stroke. Tètè yọ o. Because lẹ́yìn yẹn, ayé ẹ máa ní stroke. Then another element that must be present, that you must understand within consensual sex, is that there must be clarity of information. And I explain briefly what this means. So, oníkọ́mọ wá kí ẹ, then kó wá lé ẹ. What guys usually would assume is that into fi lè mọ́mọ, kó fi lé tiẹ̀ lẹ̀, kó dẹ̀ wá lé ẹ. Then, ó fẹ́ kẹ́ bára yín sùn. No. Gbogbo ẹni tó bá wá kí ẹ kọ́ ló ń láti bá sùn náà. Gbogbo ẹni tó wá kí ẹ kọ́ ló wá with the intention pé òun fẹ́ bá ẹ sùn. A visit is a visit. But if there is clarity kó tó máa bọ̀, wípé lágbájá bó ṣe ń bọ̀ yẹn o, a máa dúra wa o. Tó bá sọ pé yes, òun ti gbọ́ pé yeah, no problem, wípé nǹkan tó ń bọ̀ wá ṣe náà nìyẹn. That's fine. Tó bá wá dọ́dọ̀ ẹ, tó bá insist pé she won't get down with you without condom. Tó dẹ̀ ní condom tó wá sọ pé já ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ náà nǹkan mẹ́rin aṣáà ti agree pa máa ṣe. My brother, she agreed to get down with you with condom. If you go ahead and make her do it without condom, you did not get her consent. Oh. You did not get her consent. Also, there must be consent in the limit of what they want to do. Oral sex yàtọ̀ sí penetration sex. So, a lady might consent to kẹ́kàn smoosh ara yín and all those things. Bí o wá ti wá dé level kan kó wá wá pé after all àti dé level yìí kó wá máa sọ pé just the tip alone just the tip. My brother, o ní consent nǹkan tó fẹ́ ṣe yẹn. And at that moment tó náà wà yẹn, èèyàn máa ń dé level kan tó yẹ pé òjàrá yìí òjàrá ọ̀run mọ́. From the tip gbogbo yòókù á wọlé o. And from there ayé ẹ bàjẹ́ nìyẹn o. Because after it, this person will tell you, no, I didn't agree to this. I did not agree to this. Ó ti rí wàhálà yẹn nìyẹn. In the like manner that the person agreed to get down with you to have sex does not mean the person would want to give you a head. You must be clear on what they want to do and what they don't want to do, and respect what they want to do and what they don't want to do. So ní fi dandan wá máa rí kíní bọ̀ lẹ́nu pé dandan kó she didn't consent to that. So you see how delicate even consensual sex is. So never ever imply anything. Everything must be explicit. Everything must be clear. No ambiguity. Everything must be detailed. Everybody must know what they're doing. Now somebody chose to sleep with you on the same bed, share the same bed with you and I. Even kó jẹ́ pé kó tó wá sùn gan ó ti lọ shower, ó ti wọ transparent nightie, kò wọ nǹkan kan sábẹ́. Does not mean pé tó bá dòru kó gorí ẹni yẹn. Consent must be clearly communicated. You don't say nítorí pé ó ti wọ nightie tó transparent ó dẹ̀ ti wá sùn tiẹ̀ ó ti mí ìwé pé ó fẹ́ kó form lẹ́nu nìyẹn. My brother, kọ̀yìn o, kó sùn kó face the other side. Tó bá dẹ̀ sùn tóbìnrin mójúmọ́ tó fọwọ́ kàn, that does not make you less a man. That does not make you an ọ̀dẹ̀. In fact, you earn more respect because it shows that you are a gentleman. You respect boundaries, you respect other people, and you respect their body, you respect their space. You understand the sacredness of their body, and you only want them to offer it to you willingly, not something that you take off them forcefully. So it does not matter how long you've known this person. Familiarity does not constitute consent. Oh. No, it doesn't. It doesn't. And that's why we've seen situations where wives have accused their husband of rape. Yes, on the charge here. So you have to be very, very, very careful. Also, I mentioned that, consent, I mentioned sign element that must be present in consensual sex. So one just came to mind again, and that is you have to be mindful of the person that is giving the age of a person that is giving you consent. Anybody under 18, consent ọba fún ẹ ò valid o. And many men fall into this trap a lot because some of these girls, they are 16 with the body of a 35-year-old. Unless you see them in their school uniform, you don't actually know that they're school girls. You have to do your due diligence. Láti rí wípé ẹni tó ń get down with kò ń ṣe underage, because tí ẹ máa ta pátápátá gan. Only adults are legally capable of, consenting to sex. Adult tán bá dẹ̀ mú tó ń bá minor sùn, ẹ̀wọ̀n ìfọ̀páwọ̀n ni o. Orúkọ yẹn náà dẹ̀ ń lọ sínú sex offender register. Now, there are instances which I've seen where consent was duly given, but somehow this consent turned to, a sexual assault case in the end. Remember what I just finished discussing was when, certain elements are not present within the consent. But in instances where all these things are present, how come tó sì tún dọ̀rọ̀ rape? How come tó sì tún dọ̀rọ̀ sexual abuse? Which is why you need to be very careful, men. Number one, some of these girls, after having, consensual sex with you, the next day they feel that pang of guilt. They feel maybe, shouldn't have done it, or they shared it with one of their friends, and the response they get or anything like that make them feel guilty for doing that. They want to purge themselves of that guilt by putting the blame on the person they had it with, making that person responsible for what they willingly agreed to do. So there was a story of an Uber driver I heard. I think it's Scotland. He picked this lady up, and they had a good ride, and they chatted and everything. And it was even the lady that, requested or made the pass for them to, get down or suggest, they see. So apparently this lady was going through divorce, but stage to her at that time was separation. So she wasn't with her husband and she was alone. So probably she just needed somebody to get laid with and all that. But she initiated the move. This guy, they met up and had a nice time. This lady, out of excitement, told her friend what happened and how blah, 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 blah. And the friend went to tell the husband. The husband went and told the parents that this is what she's been doing, this is this is that, this is why we have issues, blah, 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 and all that. It became a very messy situation. They pulled the girl up in a bid to cover our own, act. She blamed the guy and said the guy took advantage of her. And she didn't actually consent, blah, blah, blah. She was drunk, she was this, that. She was raped. And then they said, if you were raped, if that is the story, then you need to go to the police. And to make it sound so real and, and stuff like that. And so she went to the police. They picked up the guy. Of course, like I said earlier, the odds are stacked against you anyway. You're black, you're male. And if they ask you, did anything happen between both of you? And you say, yes, but it was consensual, my guy. You're finished. Because that's all they want to establish. This thing is hard to prove. It's hard to prove, to say, oh, she agreed, oh, I didn't agree. They will lean towards the lady's side. Because, emotionally they can really, put up that act. And they can establish that, yes, something actually took place. And the rest is history. Unless you have money or you are influential, you have, money to hire the best attorney in, that is specialized in such cases. My brother Washiao. And this guy went to prison. Went to prison for, I think, 3 years. Came out, Orúkọ ẹ̀ wọnú sex offenders register. This guy has, I think he has a family. Ilé òun gan ti dàrú. He lost everything. For what? How many minutes enjoyment? So there are situations like this when the next day, these people feel guilty of the experience. And then they want to purge this guilt. So they have to, put the blame on somebody else. You build the fall guy. So that's the risk you're taking. Also, this is an industry where these girls, they have no job, they have no day job, they have nothing. But you see them living lavish lifestyle, riding Range Rover and things like that. They go and have consensual sex with people that are influential, and then they come out and cry rape. So 2 things will happen. Either that person will want to protect their image and name and everything, and they'll quickly just settle them out of court before going to the press or, going to the police. They ask for what they want and they give them. This is how they survive. This is how, they live. Or this person would insist in payroll. what we had was consensual, blah blah blah, and they'll go to the press. Number one, they don't go to the press just for the sake of it. They go to the press to sell the story. Yorùbá dẹ̀ bọ̀ wọ́n ní ẹni àpọ́nlé tàbùkù máa ń wá kiri. Once the person is an influential person, the newspaper will buy the story because that is a big headline for them. So number one, àwọn yẹn ti pawó ń bẹ̀ yẹn. And secondly, there is, I think, a fund set aside for victim support, where ẹni tó bá ti sọ pé victim of sexual abuse lòun and everything like that, they give them financial support through this ordeal because wọ́n láwọn ayé àwọn ti bàjẹ́, àwọn ti ní mental connection, emotionally this, àwọn ò lè ṣiṣẹ́ this and that kankan bẹ́ẹ̀ yẹn and all that. So they will be funding their lifestyle. So it's an industry. This is how some people live. They just go about finding suitable targets. That is another risk you're taking. And some, they do this for revenge. You've done something that hurt them in the past. Some, they made a request that you couldn't meet up. Or they heard that, oh, maybe you had sex with somebody within their, circle or whatever thing like that. Or you did something hurtful to them and they said they think of way to take it out on you. Then they set you up. And at the end of the day, after getting down with them, they come public to say, no, you took advantage of them. Just as an act of revenge. This are means by which consensual sex can also become a trap. So you have to be very careful as a man. You have to learn to exercise restraint. Gbogbo ẹran kọ́ là ń jẹ. Gbogbo òwò kọ́ là ń tọ̀pá bọ̀. Gbogbo èèyàn kọ́ là ń take advantage of. You also need to have some form of respect for yourself. Respect your body. Ensure that the person you are dealing with is mentally stable. Àwọn kan ẹjọ́ máa bára yín sùn tán nẹ́sìn báwọn á bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí máa sunkún. Wọ́n á sọra the victim of sex. Why? Why? No, nobody took advantage of you. Ẹjọ́ gbádùn ara yín ni. So why are you feeling like they've done something bad to you? These are the mentally unstable people. The next thing they will go and set up camera and ring light. They will take big handkerchief and be crying. I want to tell my story. I want to tell my truth. I met this guy in the family clinic. Is this, is that? I got 3 children. And me and him together. Ta ló bí ẹlẹ́jọ́ wèrè? Ta ló bí ẹlẹ́jọ́ orí burúkú tó wá ń rò? Ìgbà tó fẹ́ ṣe why did you do it? Ẹ̀bi ò sí lọ́wọ́ ẹ̀. Tí ò bá ń ṣe ẹni tí ò wò dáadáa kó rí ń pórí ẹ pé. Because the signs are always there. So, and then the last one I want us to discuss is sexual abuse. Sexual abuse. And there's so many things that constitute um, sexual abuse. Um, Similar to sexual harassment, where consent of a person is not taken before, you know, touching them, or some of the things you say to them. But in this case, sexual abuse goes further to actually having your way, with these people without um, their consent, such that you leave a permanent scar in their life. So, for example, under sexual abuse is an act of rape, even attempted rape is termed sexual abuse. So, rape is where you penetrate somebody's body without their consent. They're telling you stop, but stop, come, I want to get here. They hear wetin she dey talk. Wọ́n ti gé Àṣàkẹ́ ẹ létí lọ, ó ti wà lonely at the top, ó kàn ń gẹṣin lọ ni. Tó bá bọ́lẹ̀, inú ẹ̀wọ̀n ló ń lọ, my brother. Attempted rape, fondling them, unwanted sexual touching, forcing them to perform, sexual act on you. Either oral sex, either, taking their hands to touch your body and everything like that. Where you even, threaten them that if they don't, perform certain sexual act on you, you're gonna harm them. Or you're controlling them. All the time. Sex. Even once you want the mood to come both here and one. But because you can't control your libido, all these are termed as sexual abuse, molestation, sexual violence. All these are termed sexual abuse. But the one that is so popular among all of them is rape. So rape technically is anything that is opposite consensual sex. So when the person says no, when you go ahead, is rape. When the person is under the influence of alcohol or drug, and you went ahead to have sex with them, is rape. When the person who gave you consent is an underage, that is sexual abuse of a minor. All these things are criminal offenses, and they will lead you to jail. And they will have your name on the sex offenders register, and that means your life is fucked. So you must know what you're getting yourself into. That's why when I first came into this country, I sat myself down. After the first party they took me to, I saw a lot of things. Mo wá sọ fúnra mi ní angle kan tí mo jókòó sí mo ti ń mu stout. Mo ní ṣẹ̀gẹ̀, this is London. Má bàbí jẹ́. Àmà fuck bí ọ. Kò sẹ́ni tó ń control anybody bí. Kò sẹ́ni tó ń bá anybody wí bí. Ṣayé ẹ bó bá ṣe wù ẹ́. But after I sat myself down and I told myself, o ò lè bá bí jẹ́. Ibi tó fẹ́ fi ṣe bùgbé, o ò lè bàjẹ́. Adìyẹ tó ń yàgbẹ́ sínú sáàsùn ọbẹ̀, ilé ìgbẹ̀yìn ẹ̀ ló ń bàjẹ́. There's certain life you cannot live if you actually want to make this place your home. Ṣe náà mo jókòó tí mo wàásù fúnra mi. When people see my outward appearance and everything, it's difficult for them to match it up. When I say I don't do clubbing, I've never stepped into one before. I'm not saying those who go, I'm not saying I'm better off than them. I'm just telling you the kind of life I chose. Kí dẹ̀ nìdí? Yorùbá ní a kì í gbélé ẹni ká fọrùn rọ̀. If I go into those environments, I might not be able to control certain outcomes. But if I don't go, I can control it, or I've controlled it already, just by not going. Má lọ club. Má gbọ́mọ náà. Ṣé àwọn ọmọ tán wá tí wọn ò ní ra drink tó jẹ́ pé ìwọ ló máa ra drink tí o máa fún wọn? Má ra drink fọ́mọ náà, má gbọ́mọ náà. Different every week, different ọmọ. Ọjọ́ wo lèèyàn ò ní kàgbákò? Ọjọ́ wo lèèyàn ò ní ṣọmọ gbé? Ọjọ́ wo lo ò ní gbé èyí tó máa kó bá ẹ? Ọmọ ohun tójú mi rí kí n tó wọ̀lú yìí náà. So I can't just play Russian roulette with my life. Because tí mo ṣàlàyé ńsìn, it seems like a game of chance. You just hope that, the one you come across every week it's okay. Àìmọye àwọn èèyàn táyé wọn ti gbabẹ̀ fucked up. Ibẹ̀ lọ́ ti fún ẹni tí wọn ò fẹ́ fẹ́, tán ti fún lóyún tíyàn ò ṣẹ́yún, ibẹ̀ lọ́ ti ní baby mama, ibẹ̀ ni nǹkan ti wà fucked up pẹ̀lú wọn. Ibẹ̀ lọ́nà wọn ti dàrú. Ibẹ̀ lẹlòmíì ti dèrò ẹ̀wọ̀n. Ibẹ̀ lẹlòmíì ti kárùn. I can't control any of these outcomes once I put myself out there. But I can control everything if I don't just step there. So mi ò lọ nítorí pé báyá pásítọ̀ àrí mi àbí èèyàn kan tó mọ̀ mí á pàdé ńbẹ̀ or whatever thing like that. No. Mi ò lọ nítorí or Lami. And several other decisions I made to put an edge around myself when it comes to issues like this are simply because of the consequences that I do not want. And these consequences, I cannot determine their outcome if I expose myself. So what I can do is not to make myself vulnerable. So whatever means I can take to protect myself, I have to do it. I have to do it. Pressure war everywhere. Pressure war everywhere. There's no need lying. Àìgbà tó jẹ́ pé ọ̀gán ló ń lé wọn ti kọjá, àwọn ló ń gbé wá. But then you have to put this on the scale of pain and pleasure. Once the pain outweighs the pleasure, I don't do it. So putting everything on that scale of pain and pleasure slows you down a bit. But most men just get carried away with, once they see the bobby, they see the hip, they see the thigh, they see the backyard, baby, they are gone. Wọ́n ń pè wọ́n báyìí, wọn ò gbọ́ nǹkan kan mọ́. Wọ́n ti gbà tójú wọn bá já. That's not all that is to it. You must think things through. Think to the end before coming back to take the decision. Project, imagine the outcome this decision might give you, possible outcomes. And think if it's worth it. If it's worth it, go ahead. If it's not, pull yourself back. Me, I don't just like power. I like peace of mind. I like soft life. I look at these things, I appreciate them, I appreciate how artistic God is. As humans, sometimes, yes, you want to be, drawn to go further. But then if you are the type that has put certain restraints around yourself, some people, the restraint they put around themselves, some men, the restraint they put around themselves is their wife. But guess what? That is not enough. Because you just have to be smarter, cleverer to ensure that you get things done, you tidy up while she's not there. But if the restraint you put around yourself is yourself, that is a tighter, closer monitoring system, because you can't hide from yourself. You can't. You can hide from other people, you can hide from your pastor, you can hide from your wife, you can hide from your parents, you can hide from your partner. You can't hide from yourself. Because anywhere you go, you are there. And then when you count your cost ahead of time and know what you stand to lose, then you will know certain things are not just worth it. And when you build enough of this, unwanted outcomes into your thought process, kán gbé gbogbo ẹ̀ síwájú ẹ̀ gan-an kí gbogbo ara ẹ̀ le tọ̀tọ̀tọ̀tọ̀tọ̀ báyìí. By the time tí iyì ẹ bá ti lọ sí àwọn nǹkan tó yẹ kó o rò, wàá calm down. Calm down. But ẹlẹ́ran ara máa máa jẹ́. Situations where we can't control these things. Maybe it's easier to refuse certain things because they are not your spec. After all, they can't poison a man with food that he doesn't like to eat. Tó bá gbé spec ẹ wá, o lè má lè resist. Who knows? Who knows? But the most important thing I want us to realize is we must have some sense of restraint. We must have some form of self-respect. We must have some form of self-control. Don't just be in a hurry to slam anything. Respect people's body. Respect their privacy. Let them willingly offer it to you. And in the process, if they change their mind, respect their wish and stop. Don't go further. Know yourself. Know your strength. Know your weaknesses. If there are areas you need to remove yourself from to help you, then do so. Don't put yourself in a situation where, you make things really difficult for yourself. Don't let 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 30 minutes, 1 hour enjoyment lead you to spend years behind bars. Don't lose your freedom for something that is not long lasting. Don't lose all that you have labored for just in exchange for temporary enjoyment, temporal pleasure. Think long term. You can't control other people. You can control yourself. And you have control over yourself. Don't worry about what others do. Let your focus and worry be how you react to those things that you do. Many men have gone down. Influential men, strong men, young men with potential. See how many great men who had fantastic career are behind bars today. The Bill Cosby, the R. Kelly, several other ones. Sport persons, footballers, politicians, people in the entertainment. Many have gone down. Do everything within your reach not be part of these statistics. To some it's easy, to some it's not easy. But do everything you can. And the easiest way to do this is to build, those negative outcome, those negativity around this situation, so that the more the negative that surround the thing, the less you're attracted to those things. That's how to build habits. Not gonna be easy, not going to be straightforward, but you just have to do what you have to do. You have to help yourself. Again, this discussion is not only for what men do against women alone. No, we must also encourage men to come out and seek justice for sexual harassment, for sexual abuse, for sex without consent. Let's not shut down men. Let's not feel, oh, they have no right to complain because after all, they enjoy it. Everyone's body is sacred, and people have right and control over their body. This is all I have for you tonight, my friends. Thank you for listening to my nonsense. Teach your sons, educate them better. Teach your daughters, let them know how to respect their bodies. Let them know how to carry themselves well, such that they will not become an object of sex. I see so many young girls today how they sexualize their school uniform, and they leave homes where parents see them. We all have a part to play. Let's play our part. Let's not make life difficult for other people. Some of the things ladies also wear and the way they flaunt it and all these things I can be termed as sexual harassment to men as well, because they didn't ask to see these things. And there you are, upsetting them visually with this thing. They have the right to express their dissatisfaction. They have the right to express their displeasure. Let us, as the people, do better, because that's the only way we can have a better society. Thank you very much for listening to me. Ẹ̀gbọ́n, mo kí yín o. My brother Ṣẹ́gun Ọbágbèmí. Èèyàn ńlá. It's a pleasure to have you on the show tonight, brother. It's been a while o. Ẹ jìnnà sí wa gan o. Yes, ẹ̀gbọ́n, ẹ parọ́. It's a hyper-sexualized world. While I was growing up, ẹ tó lè rí ọmú obìnrin. You'll be fortunate to be sitting beside maybe a nursing mother. Tọmọ ẹ̀ ń sunkún tó wá fẹ́ fún lọ́mú. But today, soft porn everywhere. We didn't ask for it, wọ́n fi hàn wá. all the lines, all the contour, all the V's, everything free of charge. There's so much to consume in a day. So much. So many, people have no business in influencing. They have no knowledge about marketing. They don't, you know, the situation of the economy, the situation of the country has pushed everyone to become what they're not trained to be. So they take up jobs that they have to advertise and influence, and they don't know how to do these things, and they refuse to even upgrade themselves. So all they do is just to wear something very skimpy and come and be shaking bum and breast and be bending down and be turning around. You're advertising property and you are not wearing clothes. Why? Ṣélé ló ń polówó ni àbí wọ̀? Àbí hòhò? So today, people sell whatever they want to sell using indecency. That's what they use to pull crowd. Because without that, they don't have the clout. And you can see many of them going the same direction. They have to go and do BBL. They have to pump their breast, and then they start, dressing scandalously. That's how they grow their page, grow their followership. That's how they become influencers. Personally, I don't rate people like that. My own personal opinion, I do not rate them. They have no value to me. I might not say it, but that's my own opinion. And I just look beyond whatever they say they're doing. I don't even look at it twice, and I don't even talk about them because they mean nothing to me. Unfortunately, these are influencing so many kids. Why? Because the parents that should train their kids properly have abdicated their responsibility, and these kids are looking elsewhere for training. And then we try to place undue responsibility on these people to say, oh, you people should be good role model to the young. My friend, that's not their job. That's not their responsibility. They are living their life as they think it best. They are hustling for their own survival. So you don't, put your own work or responsibility on them. You don't hold them responsible for what your kids turn out to be. You should raise your own kids. Set good example for them. Show them the right path to follow. And they will follow it. A few years back, I was going to work one morning. And I sat on the bus with a schoolgirl. I don't know her. I wasn't talking to her. I was she just sat beside me on the bus. And while on the journey, I saw another schoolgirl on the road wearing the same school uniform as this girl. And irú irun tó gbé sórí, in my mind, mo wò báyìí pé ọmọ eléyìí gan báwo ni ìwé ṣe fẹ́ wọ orí ẹ̀ pẹ̀lú adúrú wilderness tó gbé sórí yìí. And the time she would spend, with the wig, the way she dressed herself up does not suggest that she's focused. So I now turned to this young girl. I said, can I talk to you? Can I ask you a few questions if you don't mind? She said, yes, go ahead. And I said, I pointed to that girl. I said, Is this allowed in your school? Is there no code of dressing? She said there is, but the school don't really care. Now, the only thing they care about is that you are not wearing the wrong color of shoes. Now, every other thing else, they look beyond it. And I asked her the second question. I said, but why are you not dressing or looking like most of these other girls I've seen? And the answer she gave me was this: because I'm not allowed to. In our home, I'm not allowed to. Even if I want to, I am not allowed to. And that says it all. The responsibility of the school primarily is academics. They're not there to help you raise your kids. The teachers have got their own kids. They're there to only educate your children academically. Yes, they have other values and stuff that they need to instill in the student, but the home is a primary training ground for a child. And you cannot control an adult. You can only raise a child. While we are busy chasing money up and down, while we are busy chasing money to buy houses, buy this, and at the end of the day say, Tori yina mo kuku shense, it's best to leave your children well instructed, because the hope of the well instructed is better than that you left with wealth and riches. Ọmọ tẹ́ ẹ̀ kọ́, òun ló máa gbélé tẹ́ ẹ kọ́ tà o. You can't delegate your responsibility. You can delegate your authority, but you cannot delegate your role. You have to be there to raise them. You have to raise your boys well, to know how to respect women. And you have to raise your daughters well, to know how to respect themselves and carry themselves well. Thank you very much. I do not want to hold you much longer, but I hope the little I've shared tonight is enough for us to, to work on and improve in the areas that we have been lacking. Thank you very much once again. It's a pleasure to have you on the show. Until we meet again next week, Friday, remain blessed. Ní dídàkudà o, bàjẹ́ ayé ò dẹ̀ nìkan yìí. Ó dàárọ̀.
Ṣe jẹ́jẹ́ tíbi tirẹ̀ ládàlẹ̀ ayé kò má ṣẹ̀dá tó mọ̀ ọ́la. Ó jẹ́ ṣe jẹ́jẹ́ ọ̀rẹ́ mi o, ayé gbẹ̀gẹ́. Inú ẹni ṣálámọ̀, a ò mẹ́ni tó fẹ́ ni. má ṣe bí ẹni kú káwọ́ ẹni tí ó ṣe dàrú ẹni. ṣàṣà ènìyàn nífẹ̀ẹ́ ní lẹ́yìn tẹrú tọmọ nífẹ̀ẹ́ ní lójú ẹni. ọmọ aráyé abániwọ̀nrọ̀ pa orí dání wọn. ayé ò fẹ́ ní ìfọ̀rọ̀ orí ẹni ní pẹ́ kó yẹ ni. You gotta be strong cause the world is a battlefield. Òjò láyé ó gbé ní lọ bá ò bá mọ̀ wẹ̀. Má ṣe làlà òtọ́ láì bá dé. Tread softly dákun ṣe jẹ́jẹ́. Ilé ayé ogun ni ó gbọ̀gbọ́n. Ẹ̀sùn pẹ̀lẹ́ láyé gbà rẹ̀. Ẹ jẹ́ ká má ṣe jẹ́jẹ́. Tíbi tirẹ̀ lábẹ́lẹ̀ ayé. Kò má ṣẹ̀dá tó mọ̀ ọ́la. Ó jẹ́ ṣe jẹ́jẹ́ ọ̀rẹ́ mi o, ayé gbẹ̀gẹ́. Inú ẹni ṣàlàmọ̀, a ò mẹ́ni tó fẹ́ ni. Ṣé rántí a ò mẹ́rin ìjọba ẹ̀wẹ̀kú ẹ̀wẹ̀lẹ̀. Àwọn ọlọ́jẹ̀ ni wọ́n dìde wọn lájànà kó lè rí inú gbọ́gbé. Àṣenìtàn bá ní ìdàrú ṣálọ̀ máa ráyé. Àwọ̀ fẹ́lẹ́ bòónù o. You gotta be wise to survive and keep your sanity. Ọjà ọ̀dájú ní ilé ayé, o ní láti mọ̀ ọ́n rà. Àyàgbé ọ̀gẹ̀gẹ̀ tó bá ti lówó, ọ̀yàn òun ló wà lọ́jọ́ ogún dé. Àwọn epo láyé ńlá, wọ́n kì í lọ jẹ̀jẹ̀. Alámọ̀ á ò mọ́nú. Ẹni ayé yẹ kó rọra ṣe, ṣọ́ra, ṣọ́ra. Ẹ̀sùn pẹ̀lẹ́ láyé gbà rẹ̀. Ẹ jẹ́ ká má ṣe jẹ́jẹ́ o. Tíbi tirẹ̀ lábẹ́lẹ̀ ayé. Kò má ṣẹ̀dá tó mọ̀ ọ́la. Ó jẹ́ ṣe jẹ́jẹ́ ọ̀rẹ́ mi o. Ayé gbẹ̀gẹ́ o. Inú ẹni ṣàlàmọ̀, a ò mẹ́ni tó fẹ́ ni. Ẹ̀sùn pẹ̀lẹ́ láyé gbà rẹ̀. Ẹ jẹ́ ká má ṣe jẹ́jẹ́. Tíbi tirẹ̀ lábẹ́lẹ̀ ayé. Kò má ṣẹ̀dá tó mọ̀ ọ́la. Ilẹ̀kùn bá jẹ́ ṣe jẹ́jẹ́ ọ̀rẹ́ mi o. Ayé gbẹ̀gẹ́. Inú ẹni ṣàlàmọ̀, a ò mẹ́ni tó fẹ́ ni. Ẹ̀sùn pẹ̀lẹ́ láyé gbà rẹ̀. Ẹ jẹ́ ká má ṣe jẹ́jẹ́. Ọ̀rẹ́ mi tíbi tirẹ̀ lábẹ́lẹ̀ ayé. Àgbà tó ti fi tó mọ̀ ọ́la. Yòókù lọ́gbọ́n. Ó jẹ́ ṣe jẹ́jẹ́ ọ̀rẹ́ mi o.